Hello everyone. Today in this audio class we will read the chapter number 2 of the book India Physical Environment NCERT Geography Class 11 textbook, chapter 2, Structure and Physiography. So let's get started. Do you know that our earth has a history? The earth and its landforms that we see today have evolved over a very long time. Current estimation shows that the earth is approximately 4,600 million years old. Over these long years, it had undergone many changes brought about primarily by the endogenic and exogenic forces. These forces have played a significant role in giving shape to various surface and subsurface features of the earth. You have already studied about the plate tectonics and the movement of the earth's plates in the book Fundamentals of Physical Geography. Do you know that the Indian plate was to the south of the equator million of years ago? Do you also know that it was much larger in size and the Australian plate was a part of it? Over millions of years, this plate broke into many parts and the Australian plate moved towards the southeastern direction and the Indian plate to the north. Can you map different phases of the movement of Indian plate? This northward movement of Indian plate is still continuing, and it has significant consequences on the physical environment of the Indian subcontinent. Can you name some important consequences of the northward movement of Indian plate? It is primarily through the interplay of these endogenic and exogenic forces and the lateral movements of the plates that the present geological structure and geomorphologic processes active in the Indian subcontinent came to existence. Based on the variations in its geological structure and formations, India can be divided into 3 geological divisions. These geological regions broadly followed the physical features: the Peninsular block, the Himalayas and other peninsular mountains, and the Indo-Ganga-Brahmaputra plain. The first is Peninsular block. The northern boundary of the Peninsular block may be taken as an irregular line running from the Kutch along the western flank of the Aravalli range near Delhi, and then roughly parallel to the Yamuna and the Ganga as far as the Rajmahal hills and the Ganga delta. Apart from these, the Karbi Anglong and the Meghalaya Plateau in the northeast and Rajasthan in the west are also extensions of this block. The northeastern parts are separated by the Malda fault in West Bengal from Chota Nagpur Plateau. In Rajasthan, the desert and other desert-like features overlay this block. The peninsula is formed essentially by a great complex of very ancient gneisses and granites, which constitutes a major part of it. Since the Cambrian period, the peninsula has been standing like a rigid block, with the exception of some of its western coast, which is submerged beneath the sea, and some other parts changed due to tectonic activity without affecting the original basement. As a part of Indo-Australian plate, it has been subjected to various vertical movements and block faulting. The rift valleys of Narmada, the Tapi and Mahanadi and the Satpura block mountains are some examples of it. The peninsula mostly consists of relict and residual mountains like the Aravalli Hills, the Nalawala Hills and the Javadi Hills and Velikonda Hills, the Palkonda Range and the Mahendragiri Hills, etc. The river valleys here are shallow with low gradients. You are aware of the method of calculating gradient As a part of your study of the book Practical Work in Geography Part 1, can you calculate the gradient of the Himalayan and Peninsular rivers and draw the comparisons? Most of the east flowing rivers form deltas before entering into the Bay of Bengal. The deltas formed by the Mahanadi, Krishna, Kaveri and Godavari are important examples. Next is Himalayas and others. Himalayas and the other peninsular mountains. The Himalayas along with other peninsular mountains are young, weak and flexible in their geological structure, unlike the rigid and stable peninsular block. Consequently, they are still subjected to interplay of exogenic and endogenic forces and resulting the development of faults, folds and thrust plains. These mountains are tectonic in origin, dissected by fast flowing rivers which are in their youthful stage. Various landforms like gorges, V-shaped valleys, rapids, waterfalls, etc. are indicative of this stage. Next point is Indo-Ganga-Brahmaputra plain. The third geological divisions of India comprises the plains formed by the river Indus, Ganga and the Brahmaputra. Originally, it was a geosynclinal depression which attained its maximum development during the third phase of the Himalayan mountain formation, approximately about 64 million years ago. Since then, it has been gradually filled by the sediments brought by the Himalayan and Peninsular rivers. Average depth of alluvial deposits in these plains ranges from 1000 to 2000 meter. It is evident from the above discussion that there are significant variations among the different regions of India in terms of their geological structure, which has far-reaching impact upon other related aspects. Variations in the physiography and relief are important among these. The relief and physiography of India has been greatly influenced by the geological and geomorphological processes active in the Indian subcontinent. Physiography of an area is the outcome of structure, process and the stage of development. The land of India is characterized by great diversity in its physical features. The north has a vast expanse of rugged topography consisting of a series of mountain ranges with varied peaks, beautiful valleys and deep gorges. The south consists of stable tableland with highly dissected plateaus, denuded rocks and developed series of scarps. In between these two lies the vast North Indian plain. Based on the macro variations, India can be divided into the following physiographic division: the northern and northeastern mountains, the northern plain, the peninsular plateau, the Indian desert, the coastal plains and the island. First is north and northeastern mountains. The north and northeastern mountains consist of Himalayas and northeastern hills. The Himalayas consist of a series of parallel mountain ranges. Some of the important ranges are Greater Himalayan ranges, which includes Great Himalayas and the Sivalik. And the general orientation of this range is northwest to the southeast direction in the northwestern part of India. Himalayas in the Darjeeling and Sikkim regions lies in the east-west direction, while Arunachal Pradesh they are from southwest to the northwestern direction. In Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram they are from north-south direction. The approximate length of Great Himalayan Range, also known as the Central Axial Range, is 2500 km from east to west, and their width varies between 160 to 400 km from north to south. It is also evident from the map that Himalayas stand almost like a strong and long wall between Indian subcontinent and the Central and East Asian countries. Himalayas are not only the physical barrier, they also act as a climatic drainage and cultural divide. Can you identify the impact of Himalayas on the geo-environment of the countries of South Asia? Can you find some other examples of similar geo-environmental divide in the world? The northern plains. The northern plains are formed by alluvial deposits brought by rivers, the Indus, the Ganga, the Brahmaputra. These plains extend approximately 3,200 km from east to west. The average width of these plains varies 150 to 300 km. The maximum depth of alluvial deposits varies between 1000 to 2000 meter from the north to south. These can be divided into three major zones: the Bhabar, the Terai, and alluvial plains. The alluvial plains can be further divided into Khadar and the Bhangar. The Bhabar is a narrow belt ranging between 8 to 10 km parallel to the Shivalik foothills. As the break of the slope, as a result of this, the streams and rivers coming from the mountains deposits heavy materials of rocks and boulders, and at times disappear in this zone. South of the Bhabar is called the Terai belt, with an approximately width of 10 to 20 km, where most of the streams and rivers re-emerge without having any properly demarcated channel, thereby creating a marshy and swampy conditions known as Terai and Terai. This has a luxurious growth of natural vegetation and houses a varied wildlife. The south of Terai is a belt of consisting old and new alluvium deposits known as the Bhangar and Khadar respectively. These plains have characteristic of features of mature stage of fluvial erosion and depositional landforms such as sandbars, meanders, oxbow, lakes and braided channels. The Brahmaputra plains are known for their riverine islands and sandbars. Most of these areas are subjected to periodic floods and shifting river courses, forming braided streams. The mouths of these mighty rivers also form some of the largest deltas of the world. For example, the famous Sundarban Delta. Otherwise, this is a featureless plain with a general elevation 50 to 150 meter above the mean sea level. The states of Haryana and Delhi form a water divide between the Indus and the Ganga river system. As opposed to this, the Brahmaputra river flows from the northeast to southwest direction before it takes an almost 90 degrees southward turn at Dhubri before it enters into Bangladesh. These river valley plains have a fertile alluvial soil cover which supports a variety of crops like wheat, rice, sugarcane and jute, and hence supports a large population. Next point is Peninsular Plateau. And Peninsular Plateau, rising from the height of 150 meter above the river plains up to an elevation of 600 to 900 meter in the irregular triangle known as the Peninsular Plateau. Delhi Ridge in the northwest extension of Aravallis, the Rajmahal Hills in the east, Gir Range in the west and Cardamom Hills in the south constitute the outer extent of the Peninsular Plateau. However, an extension of this also is also seen in the northeast in the form of Shillong and Karbi Anglong Plateau. The peninsular India is made of a series of patland plateaus such as Hazaribagh Plateau, Palamu Plateau, Ranchi Plateau, the Malwa Plateau, Coimbatore Plateau and Karnataka Plateau. And this is one of the oldest and the most stable landmass of India. The general elevation of the plateau is from west to east, which is also proved by the pattern of flow of rivers. Name some rivers of peninsular plateau which have their confluence in Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea, and mention some landforms which are typical to the east flowing rivers but are absent in the west flowing rivers. Some of important physiographic features of this region are tors, block mountains, rift valleys, spars, bare rocky structures, series of hummocky hills and wall-like quartzite dikes offering natural sites for water storage. The western and northwestern part of the plateau has an emphatic presence of black soil. This peninsular plateau has undergone recurrent phases of upliftment and submerges accompanied by crustal faulting and fracturing. The Bhima fault needs special mention because of its recurrent seismic activities. These spatial variations have brought in elements of diversity in the relief of the peninsular plateau. The northwestern part of the plateau has a complex relief of ravines and gorges. The ravines of Chambal, Vind and Morena are some of the well-known examples. On the basis of prominent relief features, the peninsular plateau can be divided into three broad groups: the Deccan Plateau, the Central Highlands and the Northeastern Plateau. The Deccan Plateau. This is bordered by Western Ghat in the west, Eastern Ghat in the east and the Satpura Michael Range and Mahadev Hills in the north. And Western Ghats are locally known by different names such as Sahyadri in Maharashtra, Nilgiri in Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, and Annamalai Hills and Cardamom Hills in Kerala. Western Ghats are comparatively higher in elevation and more continuous than the Eastern Ghats. Their average elevation is about 1500 meter, with the height increasing from north to south. Anaimudi, the height of this is 2695 meter, is the highest peak of peninsular plateau, is located on the Anaimalai hills of Eastern Ghats, followed by Doda Betta with height of 2637 meter on the Nilgiri hills. Most of the peninsular rivers have their origin in the Western Ghats. Eastern Ghats, comprising the discontinuous and low hills, are highly eroded by rivers such as Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri. Some of the important ranges: Javadi Hills, Palkonda Range, Nallamala Hills, Mahendragiri, etc. The Eastern and Western Ghats meet each other at Nilgiri Hills. Next is Central Highlands. They are bounded to the west by Aravalli Range. Satpura Range is formed by a series of scarped plateaus on the south, generally at an elevation varying between 600 to 900 meter above the mean sea level. This forms the northernmost boundary of the Deccan Plateau, and it is a classic example of the relict mountains, which are highly denuded and form discontinuous ranges. The extension of peninsular plateau can be seen as far as Jaisalmer in the west, where it has been covered by longitudinal sand ridges and crescent sand dunes. called Barkhans. This region has undergone metamorphic processes in its geological history which can be corroborated by the presence of metamorphic rocks such as marble, slate, gneiss, etc. The general elevation of Central Highlands ranges between 700 to 1000 meter above the mean sea level, and it slopes towards the north and northeastern directions. Most of the tributaries of the river Yamuna have their origin in Vindhyan and Kaimur ranges. Banas is the only significant tributary of river Chambal that originates from the Aravalli in the west, and an eastern extension of Central Highland is formed by the Rajmahal Hills, to the south of which lies a large reserve of mineral resources in the Chotanagpur Plateau, the northeastern plateau. In fact, it is an extension of the main peninsular plateau. It is believed that due to the force exerted by the northeastern movement of the Indian plate at the time of Himalayan origin, a huge fault was created between the Rajmahal Hills and the Meghalaya Plateau. Later, this depression got filled by the deposition activity of the numerous rivers. Today, the Meghalaya and Karbi Anglong Plateau stand detached from the main peninsular block. And the Meghalaya Plateau is further subdivided into three: the Garo Hills, the Khasi Hills, and the Jaintia Hills, named after the tribal groups inhabiting this region. An extension of this also seen in the Karbi Anglong Hills of Assam. And similar to the Chotanagpur Plateau, the Meghalaya Plateau is also rich in mineral resources like coal, iron ore, sillimanite, limestone, and uranium. This area receives maximum rainfall from the southwest monsoon. As a result, the Meghalaya Plateau has a highly eroded surface. Cherrapunji displays a bare, rocky surface devoid of any permanent vegetation cover. Next point is Indian desert. To the northwest of Aravalli Hills lies the Great Indian Desert. It is a land of undulating topography dotted with longitudinal dunes and barkhans. This region receives a low rainfall below 150 mm per year. Hence, it has arid climate with low vegetation cover. It is because of this characteristic feature that this is also known as Marusthali. It is believed that during Mesozoic era, this region was under the sea. This can be corroborated by the evidence available at wood fossil parks at Akal and marine deposits around Bhamgar near Jaisalmer. The approximate age of wood fossil is estimated to be 180 million years. Though the underlying rock structure of the desert is an extension of peninsular plateau, yet due to extreme arid conditions, its surface features have been curved by physical weathering and wind actions. Some of the well-pronounced desert land features present here are mushroom rocks, shifting dunes, and oases, mostly in its southern part. On the basis of orientation, the desert can be divided into two parts. The northern part is sloping toward Sindh and the southern toward the Rann-up Kutch. Most of the rivers in these regions are ephemeral. The Luni River flowing in the southern part of the desert is of some significance. Low precipitation and high evaporation makes it a water deficit region. There are some streams which disappear after flowing for some distance and present a typical case of inland drainage by joining a lake or playa. The lakes and the playas have brackish water, which is the main source of obtaining salt. The coastal plains. You have already read India as a long coastline. On the basis of the location, and active geomorphological processes, it can be broadly divided into two: the western coastal plains and the eastern coastal plains. The western coastal plains are an example of submerged coastal plain. It is believed that the city of Dwaraka, which was once a port of Indian mainland situated along the west coast, is submerged underwater. Because of this submergence, it is narrow built and provides natural conditions for the development of ports and harbors like Kandla, Mazagaon, JLN Port, Navaseva, Manmagaon, Mangalore, Cochin, etc. are some of the important natural ports located along the west coast. Extending from the Gujarat coast in the north to the Kerala coast in the south, the western coast may be divided into following divisions: the Kutch and Kathiawar coast in Gujarat, Konkan coast in Maharashtra, Goan coast and Malabar coast in Karnataka and Kerala respectively. The western coastal plain are narrow in the middle. The western coastal plains are narrow in the middle and great border towards the north and south. The rivers flowing through this coastal plain do not form any delta. The Malabar coast has got certain distinguishing features in the form of coyals or backwaters, which are used for fishing, inland navigation, and also due to its special attraction for tourists. Every year, famous Nehru Trophy Vallamkali boat race is held in Punnamada Kayal in Kerala. As compared to the western coastal plain, the eastern coastal plain is broader and is an example of emergent coast. There are well developed deltas here and formed by the rivers flowing eastward in the Bay of Bengal. These include the deltas of the Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri. Because of its emergent in nature, it has less number of ports and harbors. The continental shelf extend up to 500 km into the sea, which makes it difficult for the development of good ports and harbors. And name some ports on the eastern coasts. On 26th December 2004, the Andaman and Nicobar Island experienced one of the most devastating natural calamity. Can you name the calamity and identify some other areas which were adversely affected by some same calamity? What was its major consequence? The island. There are two major island groups in India, one in the Bay of Bengal and other in the Arabian Sea. The Bay of Bengal island groups consist about 572 islands or islets. These are situated roughly between 6 degree north to 14 degree north and 92 degree east to 94 degree east. The two principal groups of islets include the Ritchie's archipelago and the Labyrinth Island. The entire group of island is divided into two broad categories: the Andaman in the north and the Nicobar in the south. They are separated by water body which is known as 10-degree channel. It is believed that these islands are elevated portion of submarine mountains. However, smaller islands are volcanic in origin. Some smaller islands are volcanic in origin. Barren Island is the only active volcano in India, is also situated in the Nicobar Islands. Some important mountain peaks in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands are Saddle Peak, North Andaman. Its height is 738 meter. Mount Diavolo in Middle Andaman 515 meter, and Mount Koyob in South Andaman 460 meter, and Mount Thuliar Great Nicobar, its height is 642 meter. The coastal line has some coral deposits and beautiful beaches. These islands receive convectional rainfall and have an equatorial type of vegetation. The islands of Arabian Sea include Lakshadweep and Minicoy. The islands of Arabian Sea include Lakshadweep and Nicobar. These are scattered between 8 degree north to 12 degree north and 71 degree east to 74 degree east longitude. These islands located at a distance of 220 km to 440 km of Kerala coast. The entire island group is built of coral deposits. There are approximately 36 islands, of which 11 are inhabited. Nicobar is the largest island with an area 453 square kilometer. The entire group of island is broadly divided by 9-degree channel, north of which the Amini Island and to the south of Kannur Island. The island of this archipelago have strong beaches consisting of unconsolidated pebbles, shingles, cobbles and boulder on the eastern seaboard. Thank you for listening. This is for today. Thanks.